Hey, what's going on, guys? It's ETA Prime back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Samsung Galaxy Tab A7 2020 edition. This was recently released by Samsung, and it's one of their cheaper offerings when you compare it to their higher-end tablets like the Tab S6 or the Tab S7. They offer a few different storage variants and colors. I happen to choose the gold 32GB model, which is their lowest end, and this came in at $230. And on paper, this looks like a decent tablet in this price range because, as we all know, these tablets can get pretty expensive. Like the new Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 Plus can get up there to around $1,100 depending on the storage variant. So seeing a tablet like this with quad speakers, Dolby Atmos, and a 10.4-inch screen might be a better option for people who aren't looking for the most expensive tablet on the market. So yeah, we have a metal back here. There's a little bit of plastic section here, which probably houses the antennas. We also have this 10.4-inch IPS display. It's not super AMOLED like the high-end tablets, but overall this will definitely get you by, and it looks great for a tablet in this price range. So other than the tablet itself, you're not going to get much else in this box here. We have our charger and our USB Type-C cable. This is not a fast charger, but it does support up to 18-watt fast charging if you already have a decent charger at the house. So like I mentioned, this does have a quad speaker setup and it does support Dolby Atmos. We also have dual microphones, USB Type-C 2.0, so we can't do video out. I was really hoping this would do video out or HDMI out, but unfortunately it doesn't. But they have left us with the headphone jack. So I've actually had a couple days to spend with this unit. I'm actually really impressed with it. This one is the 32GB model, but they also offer a 64GB model, but both of them will support a micro SD card up to 1TB. I just happen to have a 128 laying around, and I think that's plenty for a tablet like this. They've done a great job with the construction of this tablet. We do have a full metal back, but up at the top we have a little plastic sliver, and like I said, I think that's where the antennas are going to be located. And we also have an 8-megapixel camera around back. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not a big fan of cameras on tablets, and they've never really impressed me at all, and this one definitely isn't going to impress anybody, the front or the rear. So as specs go, it's not bad for a tablet in this price range. For the CPU, we have the Snapdragon 662, the GPU is the Adreno 610, 3 gigs of RAM. You can buy this in two different storage variants, 32 or 64, but both do support a micro SD card up to 1TB. The screen is a 10.4-inch IPS at 1200 by 2000, and it looks great. I know it's not a super AMOLED, but it still looks really good for an IPS display. 802.11ab GN and AC Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, built-in AGPS, 7040 mAh battery, and they're claiming 10 hours of video playback, and I think that's dead on. I've done some testing here, and with the screen set at about 60%, I can get 9.5 hours of video playback out of YouTube and Netflix with this tablet. And this tablet is running Android 10 with Samsung One UI 2.5. So overall, with that Snapdragon CPU, the user interface is really snappy. Now I know we only have 3 gigs of RAM, I really wish they would have bumped it up to 4, but I think 3 can definitely get you by. This does gaming, emulation, and video playback really well. You can access millions of apps from the Google Play Store. We also have the Samsung Galaxy Store. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, there are a few apps that I download from there, but for the most part, I use Google Play. So for a lot of people who use Android tablets nowadays, it's really just for media consumption, video playback, music playback. So let's go ahead and check out YouTube video playback real quick. Then we'll move over to Netflix, we'll test Plex, and then we'll get into some gaming. With this quad speaker setup, it sounds absolutely amazing, and we do have Dolby Atmos. I can disable it. And if you do end up picking one of these up, I highly suggest downloading one of Dolby's demos from their website. Atmos with these quad speakers is crazy awesome. So from the YouTube app, we can access 1080p playback, and it works great. Loads up fast as long as you have a decent internet connection. After all, we do have that AC Wi-Fi built in. So if you do want to do some video viewing on this from your favorite streaming app, Hulu, HBO, Netflix, Amazon Prime, it's going to work out just fine. And you can do the picture-in-picture mode with YouTube or Netflix. And speaking of Netflix, let's go ahead and launch it real quick because after all, a lot of people are going to be using this for media consumption. So one of my favorite things to watch here is Ancient Aliens. It's going to load right up. We're already playing. Skip ahead a bit. You can see how quick it is.
There was an obsession of ancient human beings.
So the tablet's great for video playback, but what about native Android gaming? I'm going to test a few games here. First up, obviously, we have Minecraft, and it's running great. I'm at 12 chunks. I still have fancy graphics on. and we're running at about 60, but when I hit that dynamite up, we do drop down to 30. Overall, it's really playable on this tablet, and I expected it would be with that Snapdragon CPU. Rebel Racing, I usually test Asphalt 9 or Real Racing, but this is another one that I found on the Play Store. It's got pretty decent graphics here, and it runs great on the Galaxy Tab A7. And finally, for Android gaming, we have Call of Duty Mobile. It's running great here. I did go into the settings, I turned the graphics to medium before I even tested it out. I mean, I still think it looks great here. And I've turned the frame rate to maximum. It's running absolutely amazing, but I've never really been a big fan of using a giant touchscreen with this game. And that's where a nice controller would come in, like an Xbox One controller. It'll connect right up to this tablet. It does have Bluetooth 5.0 built in. But I've always just kind of hated setting the tablet down and using a controller like that, so I like these telescopic controllers. And personally, I've been using the iPega 9167 with these bigger tablets. It does fit right in here. The controller itself is around 30 bucks. I'm sure you could find it cheaper somewhere else, but on Amazon I think they're around $32. And it works great with a tablet like this. It also fits the Galaxy Tab S6. And by the way, this controller will work with game streaming apps or cloud gaming apps like Project xCloud, I think it's just known as Xbox Game Streaming Now, Stadia, GeForce Now, Vortex, and tons of others. It actually connects to the tablet using X input just like an Xbox controller would. So since we do have AC Wi-Fi built in, these game streaming or cloud streaming apps do work pretty well when the servers are working correctly. In the last couple weeks, I've had a couple issues with audio using the Xbox game streaming app on basically all of my devices. And it's been a bit annoying, but if I swapped over to Stadia or something like that, it's going to work just fine. Next up, I wanted to test a little bit of emulation. Now, with this one I'm using an Xbox One controller. We have some N64 and it's running amazingly well. I'm upscaled to 1280 by 960 using Mupen64 FZ from the Google Play Store. We got Beetle Adventure Racing running at full speed. Here's GoldenEye 007. This one's a bit harder to emulate, but it's handling it just fine, even upscaled. PSP is another one that's working pretty good on this. Now, I haven't gone through and tested some of the harder to emulate games. I'm sure they're going to struggle at a higher resolution. But with the majority of the PSP games that are compatible with PPSSPP, you will be able to upscale to 2 and 3x resolution. Even Tekken 6 here at 3x, which is a mid-range game to run.
Round 2. Fight.
And finally, at least for this video, we have some Dreamcast using Redream, upscaled to 1280, 960, Sonic Adventure 2. I've had really good performance with Dreamcast on this tablet. And to tell you the truth, I probably could have taken it up a little more with the resolution. This was the first setting I tried, and everything that I tested ran great, even Dead or Alive 2.
Get ready, fight!
So before I wrap this video up, I just wanted to show you some benchmarks here. Now on the left hand side, we have the Tab A7, which we're taking a look at in this video. The 32GB model is $230, up to $280 for the 64GB model. On the right hand side, we have the new Tab S7 Plus, and I've kind of just lumped this in with the new S7 because they do have the same specs. And these range anywhere from $650 to $1,030. So in the end, I've had a great experience with the Tab A7. It's definitely not as powerful as the S6 or the S7, but we're working with a much cheaper device here. And I think it's a great choice if you've been looking for an affordable, decent Android tablet. If you want to go super cheap with it, I would go with something like the Amazon HD8 or the HD7, but this has been a better performer than both of those tablets, and I've done reviews on all of them. So overall, the tablet's build quality is great. We got that 10.4-inch IPS display. I really wish they would have went with something else, but viewing angles are fine, and the screen looks great for a tablet at this price point. But one of my favorite things about this is the sound, and I've always loved Samsung quad speaker setups, especially with Dolby Atmos. I mean, this thing at this price point sounds absolutely amazing. So that's pretty much it for this video. Really appreciate you watching. If there's anything else you want to see running on the new Galaxy Tab A7, just let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in picking one of these up or learning more, I will leave some links in the description. But like always, thanks for watching.